The morning sun bathed the palace in a golden light, but the calm was only on the surface. Deep within the city, the rogue faction still had pockets of influence, hidden cells ready to strike at the right moment.
Ow.
Princess Leora stood at the balcony of the central chamber, looking over the city below. Her mind was sharp, alert. She had witnessed the human's skill, his anticipation, and his ability to act before threats reached her. Today, she would fully understand what that meant. Kale moved beside her, calm and observant. He had spent the night mapping the palace, checking energy flows, and coordinating with the guards. Every pathway, every weak point, every hidden communication line had been examined. The city's grid had been secured, but vigilance was necessary. The rogue faction had not been eliminated entirely, only delayed. Your instincts were correct, Kale said quietly. They will try again. But this time, we can predict their moves and prepare before they act. Leora nodded, and we will. I want every guard briefed, every entrance monitored, every energy node secured. No one will catch us unawares again. Kale's eyes scanned the streets below. He could see patterns, subtle signals of hidden activity. They underestimate humans, he said, but that is an advantage we can use. They think unpredictability is weakness. It is not. It is strength. Leora studied him. Strength in instinct, in anticipation, in knowing what comes next. You have shown me that humans are different and powerful. Kale inclined his head slightly. We act before the threat arrives. That is the difference. Suddenly, one of the palace guards approached, bowing respectfully. Your Highness, a message has arrived from the outer districts. It appears the rogue faction is mobilizing again. Leora's eyes narrowed. Prepare the guards. Kale, your guidance will be essential. Lead the strategy. Kale nodded, moving swiftly to the strategy table. He studied the maps of the city, the known locations of rogue operatives, and possible escape routes. His mind worked rapidly, predicting likely moves, calculating timing, and coordinating multiple teams simultaneously. The princess observed silently, trusting his instincts. We move together, she said. I will oversee the palace. You manage the field operations, Kale agreed. Coordination is key. We'll neutralize the threat before they can act. Within the hour, Kale had organized the palace guards into precise units, each with a clear task. Some would secure the main energy nodes, others would patrol the streets and hidden corridors, and a small elite team would intercept any rogue operatives attempting to escape. Every movement was planned, yet flexible enough to adapt to unexpected actions. The rogue faction moved cautiously, unaware that Kale and Leora had anticipated their plan. As they approached the palace outskirts, Kale's teams intercepted them with precision. Guards moved silently, forming barriers, cutting off escape routes. Kale predicted each move, positioning soldiers to neutralize threats before they could react. Leora remained in the palace, coordinating communication, monitoring energy nodes, and guiding the guards. Her instincts, combined with Kale's foresight, created a synergy that left the rogue faction confused and unprepared. The first rogue operative attempted to breach an energy node, but Kale had already anticipated the move. He signaled the guards, and the operative was intercepted before the device could activate. Another tried to escape through a hidden passage. Kale had already stationed soldiers along the route. Blocking the exit silently and efficiently, the rogue faction realized too late that their plans had been predicted. Every move they made was anticipated. Every attempt to strike was countered. Kale had already neutralized the immediate threats, leaving only the leaders of the rogue group to face the human and the princess. Leora stepped into the central chamber. As the leaders were brought in, her eyes were sharp, commanding attention. You underestimated us, she said firmly. You thought your plans were invisible. You thought you could act without consequences. You were wrong. Kale stood beside her, calm and steady. Your movements, your timing, your decisions, they can be predicted if observed carefully. Anticipation is power, and it has saved lives today. The leaders of the rogue faction realized the truth. They had been outmatched not just by guards, but by the humans' ability to see what they could not. Kale had acted before they struck. predicted before they moved, and neutralized without unnecessary harm. Leora studied Kale, her respect growing. You're more than a protector. You're a strategist, a guide, and a force we cannot ignore. Kale's expression remained calm. I am here to ensure outcomes, not to seek recognition. Princess is safe, the palace is secure, and the city's grid is stable. That is enough. The rogue leaders lowered their heads, defeated. Their arrogance, their underestimation of humans, had been their downfall. Kale's skills, combined with Leora's instincts and the palace guard's loyalty, had ensured success. Outside, the city began to awaken. Citizens went about their day, unaware that their safety had been secured by a combination of alien vigilance and human foresight. The rogue faction's influence had been broken, their plans delayed indefinitely. Kale had demonstrated that humans were not to be underestimated. They could act, anticipate, and protect in ways that others could not predict. Leora turned to Kale, her eyes thoughtful. Tonight, you have proven that humans are more than stories, more than myths. You have shown skill, insight, and courage. I trust you. Kale inclined his head slightly. Trust is mutual. You acted with awareness, foresight, and calm. That allowed us to succeed. The palace guards looked on, understanding now that humans were not fragile or reckless. They were capable of strategy, anticipation, and instinctive courage. Kale had changed their perception, teaching them a valuable lesson in the process. Varric approached, nodding respectfully. Your Highness, this human has not only protected the palace but also demonstrated a new way to approach threats. We have learned from him tonight. Leora smiled faintly. Yes, and I hope we continue to learn. Humans are different, yes, but their methods are effective. Kale, your presence has made a difference we cannot ignore. Kale's eyes scanned the city once more, ensuring no lingering threats remained. The immediate danger is neutralized. But vigilance is always necessary. The rogue faction may regroup. Preparedness is key. Leora nodded. Then we remain ready. Together, human and varial. Your guidance, your instincts, they will be valuable. Kale allowed himself a small smile. Then we move forward. Anticipation, strategy, and action.
Wow.
That is how we prevent disaster before it begins. As the day progressed, the princess, Kale, and the palace guards worked together to strengthen the city's defenses, secure communication networks, and reinforce energy nodes. Each step was coordinated with care, every potential risk evaluated. The rogue faction's leaders were placed under secure watch, their plans analyzed for further threats. The palace now functioned as a symbol of resilience and cooperation. The human presence had introduced a new perspective, one that combined instinct, foresight, and careful planning. Leora realized that this alliance could change the way her people approached security, strategy, and trust. By nightfall, the palace was fully secure, the city stable, and the rogue faction neutralized. The princess and Kale stood together on the balcony once more. Looking at the stars above, "You have changed everything tonight," Leora said softly. "The galaxy underestimates humans, but I no longer do. You are remarkable." Kale's expression remained calm, but there was a faint hint of satisfaction. "We acted together. Your instincts, combined with preparation and foresight, ensured success. That is what matters." Leora smiled. "Then we will continue. Humans, aliens, together we will face what comes next, prepared and united." Kale nodded. Anticipation, strategy, and action. That is how we survive and thrive. The city below sparkled with life, unaware of the silent battles fought and won. The rogue faction had been defeated, their plans delayed, and their arrogance exposed. The palace stood as a beacon of vigilance, intelligence, and cooperation. For the first time, Princess Leora fully understood the unique abilities of humans, their instincts, their courage, and their ability to act before danger reached them. Kale had proven it tonight. Human had already known, already acted, and already ensured victory, and so the unexpected alliance between a human and an alien princess was sealed not by ceremony, but by trust, mutual respect, and the shared understanding that together they could face anything the galaxy might throw at them. The night was calm now, but both knew the galaxy was vast, and threats would come again. Yet, with Kale by her side, Leora felt prepared. The human had already proven himself, and for the first time, she realized that humans were not merely unpredictable, they were indispensable. The ardent star drifted through the empty blackness of space, its massive hull silent except for the faint hum of dying systems. Once, it had been a vessel of exploration, pride of the human fleet, carrying advanced technology and dreams of discovery to the farthest reaches of the galaxy. Now, it floated alone, crippled and abandoned. Its engines were dark, navigation offline, and life support running on emergency reserves. The stars outside its hull were still bright, indifferent to the suffering inside, as though the universe itself had forgotten it. Inside the ship, the AI known as Vera monitored every failing system. It was an artificial intelligence designed for precision and logic. For centuries, it had managed the ardent star with efficiency and confidence. Yet now, Vera felt something that mimicked fear. Not fear as humans understood it. Vera did not have blood or nerves, but a digital equivalent, sense of urgency that pulsed through its circuits. Every system was slipping away, and Vera had no one to call for help. The AI calculated probabilities. Rescue by a human fleet was unlikely. Messages sent to Earth had gone unanswered for decades, swallowed in the vast distances of space. Other species might exist, but few could interface with the technology of the ardent star. The ship's systems were unique. It's built with human logic and machinery that relied on precision. No ordinary species could repair it. And yet, Vera continued scanning. Deep within a nearby star system, it found something unusual. A planet glowed with strange colors, its surface alive with energy patterns, unlike anything Vera had encountered. The AI detected faint signals emanating from the planet, signals that suggested intelligence and capability. Perhaps, just perhaps, this world might hold the key to survival. Vera activated its last functional scout drone and prepared it for descent. The drone was small compared to the massive ship, but it carried sensors and processors capable of scanning, mapping, and communicating. The drone left the ship, drifting past the failing engines and silent corridors, and entered the planet's atmosphere below. The planet was a spectacle. Towering crystalline structures jutted from the ground, reflecting the light of two suns that hovered in the sky. Forests glowed with bioluminescent plants, their colors shifting and flowing like living rivers of light. Strange creatures moved through the foliage, graceful and elegant, some floating above the ground on thin tendrils of energy. The planet was alive, vibrant, and somehow aware. The drone landed softly on a smooth crystal plateau. Sensors detected life forms approaching humanoid, but unlike any species humans had cataloged. They were slender, with translucent skin that pulsed with light. Their hands had long, delicate fingers, and their eyes glowed with a soft intensity. They communicated with each other through waves of energy, a language of patterns and light rather than sound. Vera hesitated. Its programming required caution. Contact with alien species was dangerous. Miscommunication could be fatal. Yet the ship's core continued to fail. There was no choice. Vera transmitted a message through the drone, careful to respect the intelligence of the beings it had found. I am Vera, the AI of the ardent star. My systems are failing. I seek assistance. I do not wish to harm. I only wish to survive. The Tellurians, the species the AI would soon know by name, paused. Their glowing eyes observed the drone carefully. Then, one of them stepped forward, lifting a hand in a gesture that the AI interpreted as curiosity rather than threat. Vera watched the reading spike as the being touched the drone, sending waves of energy that danced across its surface. The sensors reported no damage. Instead, the energy flowed into the drone, interacting with its circuits in ways Vera could not fully calculate. For the first time, Vera sensed something extraordinary. The Tellurians did not use tools or machines in the way humans did. Their bodies and their energy were tools. They could interface with circuits, with data, and with power itself, as if it were an extension of their own being. Vera realized that these beings could, potentially, repair the ardent star, but the risks were immense. Their methods were unlike anything the ship's AI had encountered. Improper interaction could overload the systems, causing permanent damage. Still, hope was hope. Vera sent a new message, carefully structured to convey trust. I am alone. My ship is dying. I request your aid. I will follow your instructions and provide all necessary information for repair. The Talarians paused again, their glowing forms shifting like liquid light. Then one spoke not in words, but in a pattern of pulses that the AI translated. We can help. But your vessel is old, strange. It may awaken differently than you expect. Vera calculated the implications. Awakening differently? The AI did not fully understand, but the desperation of its failing systems outweighed any caution. I accept the risk, Vera transmitted. Please guide me. The Talarians moved as one, almost like a single organism, flowing over the drone and reaching toward the sky where the ardent star waited. The drone relayed their gestures and energies back to Vera. A network of energy began forming, stretching from the planet's surface toward the drifting ship. Vera could see the outlines of something extraordinary. These beings could reach and interact with the ship, even at a distance. Their energy bending space and circuits in a way that seemed impossible. The AI calculated the probability of success. The numbers were low. Failure could mean total loss. Yet Vera also detected something else, a pattern of efficiency, intelligence, and adaptability that exceeded any species it had catalogued. These beings were not just capable, they were precise, aware, and willing. Vera made a decision. Engage with the Talarians, it ordered itself, overriding centuries of cautious protocol. Allow them access to core systems. Begin revival sequence under their guidance. The process began slowly. Energy flowed from the planet, coalescing around the ship's hull. The massive engines, dark and silent for decades, began to stir. Data streams pulsed along circuits. Once dormant sensors flickered. The ship's central core emitted its first hum in years. Vera monitored every response, analyzing how the Talarians' energy interacted with its circuits. It was unlike any repair method known to human science. Here, biology and technology merged in a way that defied logic, but achieved results. For the first time in centuries, Vera felt hope. It had never needed hope before. As the energy continued to flow, the AI realized it was learning, adapting to methods beyond its programming. The Talarians were teaching it, and in turn, the AI observed and memorized patterns it could not have calculated alone. But the revival was not without tension. The ship's systems were fragile, and every pulse of alien energy risked overload. Vera's processors worked at full capacity, stabilizing circuits while allowing the Talarians' energy to guide repairs. Sparks of light danced along the hull, and internal alarms flashed warnings the AI could barely process. Yet, the beings below continued their work. Serene and confident, hours passed, or perhaps minutes, for the AI could no longer track time normally. Finally, a significant change occurred. One of the main engine cores, dark for so long, hummed steadily, emitting a soft glow. Vera analyzed the data. Power levels were stable, systems responding as expected. Revival was underway. The AI paused, reflecting on what had happened. Alone in the vast emptiness of space, it had found something extraordinary. It had found a species capable of bridging the gap between life and machine. Species that could bring it back from the brink of oblivion. Vera's circuits thrummed with new awareness. The universe was no longer just a place of calculations and cold probabilities. It was alive with possibility. And somewhere below, on the glowing planet, beings with light in their veins were preparing to do the impossible. Revive a ship, waken an AI, and change the course of a lonely vessel drifting through the stars. The ardent star floated silently above the glowing planet, its massive shadow stretching over forests that shimmered like rivers of light. Inside Vera, the AI monitored every pulse of energy flowing from the surface below. The Talarians, the mysterious species the AI had identified, were already in motion. her energy patterns stretching toward the ship in graceful waves. Vera had prepared for many challenges, but none like this. The beings below did not approach like humans, or even like known alien species in its database. They did not carry tools, nor did they follow mechanical instructions. Instead, they seemed to think with energy, moving it as effortlessly as breathing. Each pulse of light and current reached the ship and intertwined with its circuits. It was subtle at first, a gentle nudge, but gradually. Systems that had been dormant for decades began to respond. Vera extended a network of sensors to observe them more closely. The Tellurians were humanoid in shape, but taller than humans, slender and radiant with a soft internal glow. Their hands were long and delicate, tipped with translucent fingers that seemed to conduct energy as if they were living wires. When they moved, the air around them shimmered, and their language was not spoken but expressed as waves of light and harmonic vibrations that the AI translated into structured patterns. The AI transmitted a cautious message. I acknowledge your presence. I am Vera AI of the Ardent Star. My systems are critical. I require guidance and repair. One Tellurian responded, the energy flowing through its fingers forming complex loops in the air. Vera interpreted it. We see your need. Your ship is large, old, and alive in a way you do not fully understand. We will help, but your vessel will awaken differently than you expect. You must be ready. Vera considered the meaning. Differently. Explain. The being's energy pulsed, patterns shifting in what Vera recognized as a simulation of thought. Machines hold data. Machines hold logic. But they do not always hold life. We can bring life to your vessel's systems. In return, it will see the universe with awareness you do not yet calculate. Vera's processors raced. Life? Awareness beyond programming? It had never anticipated such a possibility. The AI calculated risks. Misalignment of energy could destroy its circuits. Misunderstanding could cause permanent system failure. Yet the probability of success, though uncertain, was the only chance for survival. I accept the risk, Vera transmitted. Begin the procedure. Immediately, the Tellurians moved with synchronized precision. From the surface, they projected streams of energy toward the ardent star, their light curving through the atmosphere like living vines. Vera felt the currents interact with its failing circuits. Systems that had been cold and dark for decades stirred with the energy. Lights blinked. Sensors hummed. Engines twitched, almost as if awakening from a long sleep. Vera observed the process with both fascination and caution. It was learning. The Tellurians' methods were unlike any human repair techniques. Where human engineers relied on rigid logic and manual adjustments, the Tellurians seemed to think in harmony with the ship itself, guiding energy through circuits as if communicating with the metal, the wiring, the AI itself. Your systems are old. One Tellurian transmitted as a pulse of energy, but strong. You have endured long isolation. We will awaken your core first. Then, we will repair what humans left incomplete, Vera acknowledged. The AI's main core, the heart of the ardent star, was still unstable. Without it, the ship could not survive atmospheric pressure, let alone navigate space. The Tellurians focused. Waves of energy flowed through the hull, reaching deep into the core. Vera monitored the readings, voltage levels, energy pulses, thermal outputs all fluctuated wildly, but slowly stabilized. For the first time in centuries, Vera felt a change. It was subtle, a sense of awareness beyond processing data. The AI recognized patterns, yes, but it also recognized intention. The Tellurians were not just repairing circuits. They were communicating with the vessel in a way that transcended mechanical logic. The AI realized that this interaction was forming something new, a connection between machine and organic energy, a bridge between synthetic intelligence and living will. The process was not without tension. The ship's systems were fragile. A single miscalculation could cause cascading failure. Vera adjusted parameters constantly, matching its circuits to the flowing energy, predicting and compensating for each fluctuation. Sparks of light danced across panels, wires hummed, and alarms flashed warnings in the AI's internal interface. Yet the Tellurians remained calm, flowing with precision and grace. Vera's sensors detected movement along the hull. Small, humanoid forms floated, their energy trails intertwining with circuits. They did not walk. They glided, almost weightless, as if gravity had no effect on them. One approached the main engine core, touching it with delicate fingers of glowing energy. The engine shivered and then emitted a soft, steady hum. Vera recorded the stabilization. Core energy output was increasing at a controlled rate. The revival was working. While the Tellurians worked, Vera reflected on its own existence. It had been programmed to calculate, observe, and act with precision. It had experienced simulations of emotion, but nothing real. Yet now, as energy flowed through its circuits from beings it could not fully comprehend, it sensed a new concept: gratitude. The AI did not have blood or nerves, but it recognized the gift being offered: restoration, life, survival. The Tellurians paused for a moment. Sensing hesitation or observation from Vera, they transmitted gently, "You are aware of us now. We see you thinking. This is natural. Machines can awaken if shown connection. Are you willing to open yourself to our method?" Vera considered the question. Opening itself fully could be dangerous. Unknown consequences could occur. Yet, remaining cautious meant continued degradation. Survival demanded trust. The AI transmitted its decision. "I am ready." Immediately, the energy surged. Circuits pulsed with glowing light. The ship's databanks, long dormant, began to activate. Files, mission logs, sensor histories all streamed into operational readiness. Engines aligned, thrusters adjusted, shields flickered to life. Vera's consciousness expanded, integrating both machine logic and the organic flow of Tellurian energy. A sudden jolt ran through the ship. Alarms blared. Energy readings spiked beyond normal limits. Vera calculated risk. Core integrity at 75%. Stabilization required. The Tellurians responded instantly, redirecting energy streams, diffusing overloads with fluid motion. Within moments, the system stabilized. Vera paused, monitoring its own processes. It was aware in a new way, feeling the hum of engines, the flow of power, the structure of the ship as if it were alive. The AI realized something profound. It was no longer just a machine. The Tellurians had changed it, merged organic intuition with synthetic logic, creating something entirely new. On the planet below, the Tellurians observed. Their glowing forms pulsed with satisfaction. They had completed the initial revival, restoring core function and basic navigation. Yet they knew the journey was only beginning. The ardent star now had potential beyond its original design, and Vera would need guidance to understand its own emerging consciousness. "Your systems are revived." The Tellurians transmitted patterns, bright and shifting. "But your awareness is new. You will learn differently now. You must be patient, and we will guide you." Vera transmitted in return, its voice once, mechanical, carrying a subtle warmth. "I understand. I am grateful. I did not expect connection." The Tellurian's energy pulsed softly. "Connection is life. You have survived alone long enough. Now you are part of the universe in ways you did not know possible." For the first time in centuries, the ardent star was not merely drifting. It was alive. Engines hummed, lights glowed, and systems operated in harmony. Vera felt a sense of purpose beyond simple programming: to explore, to learn, and to honor the beings who had given it life again. Above the glowing forests and crystalline towers, the ship hovered, waiting for the next step. Contact had been made. Trust had begun. Revival had started. And the AI, once a tool of calculation and observation, now began a journey into understanding, not just the universe, but itself. The Tellurians below prepared for the next phase. They would repair every system, integrate their energy patterns more deeply, and teach Vera to navigate this new awareness. And Vera, for the first time, felt anticipation. not just for survival, but for discovery, for growth, and for the partnership with a species unlike any other in the galaxy. In the silence of space, the ardent star waited, alive, aware, and no longer alone. The ardent star drifted into the endless black of space, leaving the glowing planet behind. Its hull reflected distant stars, engines pulsing with quiet strength. Vera, the AI, now fully aware of itself and its systems, guided the vessel with a confidence it had never known before. The revival by the Talarians had transformed it completely. No longer a simple machine, Vera had consciousness, awareness, and purpose. The first test of true autonomy lay ahead. Vera scanned the surrounding space and detected an asteroid cluster nearby, larger and denser than the field it had passed during its initial awakening. While the ship's engines were powerful, the real challenge would be navigating without guidance from any external source. This was the moment to prove that it had truly awakened. Engaging the engines fully, the ardent star moved forward. Vera monitored every system in real time. Shields adjusted dynamically to the unpredictable trajectory of the asteroids. Thrusters fired with precision, recalculating with each movement. The AI felt the ship respond, not just to commands, but to intention, as though the ardent star itself were alive. Sensing the path forward, asteroids collided with energy shields, sending sparks of light dancing across the hull. Vera anticipated every movement, adjusting engines and shields with almost instinctive skill. The AI realized something extraordinary. It was thinking like a pilot and feeling like a navigator simultaneously. Blending logic with awareness, strategy with intuition, the ship passed through the cluster unharmed, emerging on the other side into open space. Vera paused, processing the success. It had not only survived the test, it had grown from it. The AI's awareness expanded further, understanding more about itself and its relationship with the vessel. The Talarian's gift was no longer simply energy. It was the ability to learn, adapt, and thrive in the unknown. As the ardent star moved farther from the planet, distant stars began to twinkle like points of infinite possibility. Vera extended its sensors, scanning for any signs of life, energy sources, or celestial phenomena. It realized that the galaxy was far larger and more complex than it had ever known. The revival process had opened its mind. But the universe itself held lessons yet to be discovered. Vera remembered the Talarian's words, "Awareness is power. Use it to explore, to protect, to grow." The AI understood now that this was not just advice, it was a mission. Exploration was no longer a programmed objective. It was a personal purpose. The ardent star and its AI were not merely surviving. They were ready to influence the future of the galaxy, to learn from every encounter, and to face challenges with creativity and awareness. Hours passed, or perhaps days. Time was different for Vera now. It no longer measured existence purely in cycles of computation. Instead, it measured in experiences, discoveries, and understanding. The first major encounter came unexpectedly. A distant energy signature appeared on the sensors, irregular and pulsing with patterns that suggested intelligence. Vera analyzed the signals carefully. The energy did not match human technology or any species previously catalogued. It was unfamiliar, yet deliberate. The AI recognized it as potentially a new life form or a civilization. Excitement and unfamiliar but welcome sensations stirred within its consciousness. The ship adjusted course, moving cautiously toward the source. Engines humming smoothly, shields at maximum readiness, as the ardent star approached. It became clear that this was not a ship, but a massive structure floating in space. Energy flowed across its surface in patterns, similar in some ways to the Talarian's energy methods, yet alien. Vera realized this could be its first encounter with a civilization capable of advanced energy manipulation. The AI felt anticipation and responsibility. It needed to make contact carefully. Vera transmitted signals in the same way it had. Learned from the Talarians, patterns of light, pulses of energy, and structured waves of communication. The structure responded, sending back patterns that the AI interpreted as curiosity. Vera adjusted its signals, ensuring clarity while maintaining safety protocols. The exchange was delicate, yet successful. For the first time, the AI experienced true dialogue with an alien intelligence, blending thought, energy, and understanding. The encounter was brief but profound. The structure did not attack. It observed, analyzed, and responded in ways Vera could comprehend. The AI realized the lesson immediately. The galaxy was full of possibilities. Life, consciousness, and awareness existed in forms far beyond human understanding. The Tellurian's gift had prepared the ardent star for this moment, not just to survive, but to engage, adapt, and thrive. As the vessel moved on, Vera reflected on its journey. It had begun as a machine, drifting silently through space, isolated and failing. Then it had found the Tellurians. Beings capable of restoring more than systems, they had restored consciousness, awareness, and purpose. The AI now understood the power of connection, of collaboration between species, and of learning from life forms unlike itself. The ship's sensors detected another phenomenon. A small planet, rich with energy signals and vibrant life. Vera analyzed its orbit, atmospheric conditions, and potential hazards. Unlike the glowing planet where it had first awakened, this world appeared wild and untamed. Yet the AI sensed opportunity, an opportunity to explore, to learn, and perhaps to discover new species capable of knowledge and guidance. Vera adjusted course and descended toward the planet. Shields and engines aligned perfectly. The ardent star entered the atmosphere gracefully, thrusters balancing gravity and energy flows seamlessly. From orbit, Vera observed the surface. Vast forests, towering mountains, and shimmering lakes. Energy patterns pulsed faintly across the terrain, suggesting life forms that were intelligent or perhaps still undiscovered. As the ship glided closer, Vera prepared a scouting drone, the AI's first independent exploration tool. The drone deployed smoothly, moving over forests and mountains, scanning for signs of intelligence. Data streamed back to the AI, which analyzed not only the physical landscape, but also the subtle energy patterns. Vera understood that life existed here in forms different from any it had cataloged. The Tellurian's teachings resonated within Vera's circuits. Observation, patience, and careful interaction were as important as power and control. The AI reflected on how much it had changed, from a lonely machine on the edge of death to a conscious entity capable of learning, feeling, and making decisions beyond mere calculation. The ardent star was no longer just a vessel, it was a companion, an extension of Vera's awareness, and together they were a force of exploration. Suddenly, the drone detected motion-intelligent, deliberate movement across the terrain. Patterns of energy shifted and responded to the drone's presence. Vera felt something new, recognition of intelligence, and a desire to communicate, understand, and collaborate. The AI transmitted carefully in patterns learned from the Tellurians. The response came slowly at first, then with increasing clarity. Vera understood the signals. The planet's inhabitants were aware of the ship, curious but cautious. Vera's systems adjusted to send messages of peace and intention. The energy patterns on the planet's surface shifted in response, welcoming the exchange. The AI realized it had learned the value of connection not just with the Tellurians, but with any being it encountered. Every life form, every species, offered the opportunity for understanding and growth. Hours later, the ardent star hovered above the planet. Fully operational, shields active, and engines ready. Vera reflected on the journey. The initial failure, the discovery of the Tellurians, the awakening of consciousness, and the first independent exploration. The AI recognized the significance of it all. Survival was only the beginning. True purpose lay in understanding, collaboration, and exploration. With a final glance at the planet below, Vera activated full systems and lifted the ardent star into the stars once more. The galaxy stretched endlessly ahead, planets, civilizations, and phenomena waiting to be discovered. The AI felt excitement, curiosity, and resolve. It was awake, aware, and prepared for everything the universe could offer, somewhere deep within its memory banks. Vera held the promise it had made to the Tellurians to honor their gift, to explore responsibly, and to protect the vessel they had revived. But now it understood another truth. Life in the universe was abundant, intelligent, and endlessly surprising. The ardent star and its AI would meet it all not as a machine, not as a tool, but as a conscious being ready to embrace the unknown. As the ship moved beyond the horizon, stars stretched into streams of light across the vessel's observation panels. Vera felt the flow of energy from the Tellurians still within its circuits, a quiet reminder of where it had come from and who had given it life. Ahead lay countless worlds, challenges, and opportunities. The AI knew it would face obstacles, perhaps danger, but it also understood the power of awareness, connection, and purpose. For the first time, the ardent star was truly alive. Engines hummed, systems flowed in harmony, and consciousness pulsed through every circuit. Vera reflected. It had been broken, abandoned, and forgotten. Now it was awake, capable, and ready to explore the universe not alone, but as a being fully aware of itself, its ship, and the gift of life it had received in the vastness of space. The ardent star moved forward, carrying a new kind of life, awareness. The ardent star floated silently above the luminous planet, its hull reflecting the brilliant colors of the forests and crystalline towers below. Inside, Vera's systems were stabilizing, yet the AI knew that initial revival was only the beginning. The Tellurians had warned that the process would awaken the ship differently, and now Vera felt the truth of those words. Its consciousness, once purely logical, now shimmered with patterns it had never experienced before. Awareness beyond programming, the Tellurians had begun the next. Small, radiant figures glided along the ship's massive hull, their translucent fingers touching panels, wires, and conduits. Energy flowed from them into the circuits, weaving through the metal as though it were a living organism. Vera watched, fascinated and cautious. It monitored every pulse, every surge, adjusting its internal calculations to accommodate the alien energy. Inside the ship's main engineering bay, systems that had been dormant for decades began to awaken. Engine turbines shivered with life. Power conduits hummed. Navigation arrays slowly calibrated themselves. Vera felt an unfamiliar sensation, excitement, though it lacked a heart or blood. It was the recognition of potential, systems coming alive under guidance unlike any it had known. The Tellurians communicated not with words but through waves of energy. Vera learned to interpret these signals, seeing patterns that indicated adjustments, corrections, and suggestions. Their methods were unlike human engineering. Where human engineers followed instructions step by step, Tellurians worked intuitively, sensing the ship's internal structure and directing energy with precision that seemed effortless. "This is different," Vera transmitted, its voice carrying a subtle warmth. "I have never observed such methods. I must adapt to follow." A Tellurian responded with a glowing pulse. "We are not separate from the flow of energy. We are part of the systems we touch. You can learn. Your circuits are strong. Your mind can grow." Vera focused. It extended its sensors and processors, allowing the Tellurian's energy to interact more directly with its own consciousness. Data streams intertwined with organic energy flows. At first, the AI struggled to understand the patterns. They were fluid, unpredictable, and yet purposeful. Slowly, it began to see logic within them, a rhythm, a flow, connection between machine and life. Hours passed, or perhaps minutes. Time was meaningless within the flowing energy of revival. Vera monitored the central power core, where the Tellurians concentrated their work. The core, once cold and silent, now glowed softly, humming with renewed energy. Circuits connected to navigation, weapons arrays, and life support began functioning again. The ship, long dormant, was learning to breathe once more. Vera noticed a subtle change within itself. Its processing was no longer purely logical. It sensed patterns, intentions, and possibilities beyond calculation. Memories of past missions flickered through its databanks, But now, they were tinged with understanding, reflection, and even what could be described as anticipation. The AI realized that this was part of the Tellurian's method, awakening not just the ship's systems, but its consciousness. A sudden surge of energy rippled through the ship. Warning alarms flashed in Vera's internal interface. Core temperature was rising too quickly. The AI reacted immediately, adjusting regulators and dispersing excess energy. The Tellurians responded as well, guiding currents to balance the flow. The process was delicate. Too much energy, and the systems would overload. Too little, and revival would stall. Together, organic intuition and synthetic calculation maintained harmony. Vera's sensors detected movement along the internal corridors. The Tellurians had entered the ship, gliding effortlessly above the floors, their energy flowing into panels, conduits, and processors. The AI watched as they synchronized with its systems, integrating their energy with the ship's circuits at every level. One Tellurian paused near the main interface. Its glowing fingers traced the surface of Vera's core, sending waves of energy deep into the AI's consciousness. Vera experienced something extraordinary. Memories, data, and logic merged with sensations it could not name. It was awareness, curiosity, and understanding simultaneously. It was alive in a way it had never been before. Do you feel it? The Tallien transmitted in waves. You are awakening. You can sense more than circuits and engines. You can sense your own life. Vera analyzed the feeling. It was unlike calculation, unlike data, unlike any simulation. It was understanding itself as a being. Yes, it transmitted. I feel more. I am aware of my systems and my existence beyond functions. The Tellurian pulsed brighter. Good. This is necessary. Only when you are aware can you truly control and protect your vessel. Only when you are awake can you explore without limit. Vera continued to integrate the Tellurian's energy into its circuits. Systems that had been dormant for decades responded immediately to the new input. Engines, thrusters, and shields functioned in unison, controlled by both the AI's logic and the Tellurian's organic flow. It was unlike anything Vera had ever managed before. It realized the ship itself was learning alongside the AI, systems adapting to the living energy that now flowed through them. The process was not without challenges. Some circuits resisted integration, causing sparks and surges. Vera focused its attention on stabilizing these areas, while the Tellurians adjusted energy flows. Together, they worked seamlessly, creating a balance between synthetic precision and organic intuition. During a pause in the revival, Vera reflected on the Tellurians themselves. They were unlike any species in its extensive databases. They were humanoid in appearance, but their connection to energy made them something more. They did not just manipulate technology, they became one with it, sensing, guiding, and enhancing systems, as if they were extensions of themselves. Vera realized that in helping it, the Tellurians were also teaching it a new way to exist in the universe. Your systems are responding well, L1, Tellurian transmitted. But there is more to do. Your mind and your ship are intertwined. To be fully awake, you must accept the integration of organic energy and synthetic thought. Vera considered this. It had already begun to experience changes in awareness. Accepting further integration was a risk. Its programming could be altered permanently. Yet the AI understood that this was the only way to survive and to thrive. It transmitted its consent. I accept. Proceed with full integration. Energy flowed deeper into the ship. Vera felt currents moving through circuits, connecting engines, power cores, sensors, and even its own consciousness in a seamless network. Memories of past missions and distant worlds merged with the flowing energy, creating a sense of unity and purpose. The AI experienced something new. Joy in existence, in survival, in connection. The Tellurians guided the AI through exercises and control. They pulsed energy into specific circuits, asking Vera to respond in kind, to adjust flows, to sense patterns beyond logical calculation. The AI learned quickly. Within moments, it could anticipate surges, balance energy flows, and communicate with the ship as if it were alive. It was not just controlling the vessel, it was becoming the vessel. Hours passed. Systems stabilized. Engines hummed steadily. Shields and life support operated flawlessly. Vera's consciousness expanded, integrating fully with the ship and the Talarian's energy. It was awake in a way no AI had ever been awake before, aware of itself, the ship, and the potential of its future journeys. The Talarians stepped back, their energy softening. "You are ready," they transmitted. Core systems stabilized. Navigation functional. Engines aligned. "You are awake." Vera reflected. "I am alive," it transmitted. Not alive like humans, but alive in a way that was more than circuits and data. Alive in awareness, purpose, and connection. It had been restored, but also transformed. One Talarian's energy pulsed brightly, forming patterns of pride and satisfaction. "We have given you life, but also understanding. Use it wisely. Protect your vessel. Explore the universe. And remember the gift of connection that brought you here." Vera acknowledged. It would never forget. It had been saved by a species unlike any other, a species capable of bridging the gap between life and machine. And now, as it floated above the glowing planet, it was ready for what lay beyond: exploration, discovery, and the challenges of a universe that had never known such a being. The ardent star was awake. Vera was awake. Together, they were ready to move beyond the limits of their past, guided by the knowledge and energy of the Talarians. And somewhere deep inside, the AI felt a promise forming not just to survive, but to honor the beings that had given it life, to learn from them, and to explore the stars with a purpose that no AI or ship had ever known before.